we are setting up for my favorite shot in the entire world. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Wolfpack. Today I am filming, well not today, actually it's been for the past 2 weeks, I've been filming a commercial for the game makers. This is the one that we filmed over at Gen Con for like over 3 terabytes of footage, and we put everything together. I've condensed everything into a nicely tight packaged 35 to 42 second commercial, and right now I want to show you what it's like to get the final shot, my absolute favorite shot in every single commercial that I make. So the coolest thing about this is that you have absolutely no guide about how to do this properly. So what I'm going to do first is my go-to, which is always to put the box where it's going to end up being, which is always, for the most part, right smack in the middle, and that's going to give me a little bit of direction. Now we have the center board, which makes it easy because usually we have a center board right in the middle. So I've already actually put the rondelle mechanism in the middle. And what I've also done is taped all of these cards. That way, this is how I get all of this to stand vertically. And this is a really nice presentation piece. So we're gonna keep this here for now. And then now what I'm gonna do is I wanna set up each player station. And there's also this giant meeple panda, check that out. So we're gonna put that actually on a table right there for now. And let's see, each person gets their own factory. So we're going to put together all these factories. This is quite the challenge here because it is a 6-player game. So I'm gonna take these 6 factory boards and put it all over the table. So we're gonna fill up a ton of space right now. 4. Okay, I don't know how things are gonna get placed yet. I kind of like to just put pieces on top and then rearrange them in a nice and pleasant way afterwards. So let's see here. Each person also gets their accompanying cardboard here. Cardboard, get it? Because card and. So once I usually finish one side, I like to keep the symmetry here. So I'm gonna replicate everything that I did on the right side over here on the left. That's my janky light setup over here. This right here is what my general setup looks like, and this is what I mean for the right side replication. So I've done player board, and then the grid on the right side, and then grid, and then player board. So I kind of reversed it. That way you just have a nice zigzag going on to connect all the lines. And I've completely mimicked that on the right side, on the left as well. And what's cool is that all of these pieces are already in the middle. So now I want to fill up all of these player boards. That way they simulate what an actual game would look like. Oh, I also forgot, as a gamer, this is something I would absolutely love to see, and it would easily hook me and be interesting for like something I would click on for a campaign, and that is these individual supplies. So these are shipping containers, which kind of act as their own supply container. So we're gonna keep this right by each person's player board and then slightly open. And then we're gonna reveal some of the contents in there. And then there are also some individual cubes, which we will put out in some random spots over here that are pretty realistic to the actual game. I think I like this where it kind of meets the length of this corner, and we're gonna open it up. That way people can see contents inside, and then line up some of these little tactile pieces over here. I think they're called tweenies. And we're gonna do the same exact thing for all the colors. Now in this particular grid, I was pretty specific with it because what I did was I used some games that everyone knows, like Flamecraft, Castles of Burgundy, Food Chain Magnets, but then also included some new games coming out like Avalon and Vantage, some other heavier games, Bitoku, so all from different publishers showcased here, and even like artwork from all over the place like Kabuto Sumo, Nature, and then Luthier 2 being a new upcoming game as well. So this one was a bit specific, but the rest are just gonna be totally random. Now, next up, we're gonna give some height to the board. And in this game, there are some enhancements. So there are these 3 individual meeples. There's this like construction worker one, which is going to be slotted in a bunch of the boards. There's also this middle worker, level 2 worker, and then a level 3 worker, which is a panda. So we're going to slot all of them in just to give a lot of height to the board. And what I also like to do is mix them up so that way some boards have 2, some have 1, some have 0. Next up, we have 3 bags, which are level 1, level 2, and level 3 tiles. So these bags, I want to fill up some negative space. So we're going to put all these bags here, going from level 1 to level 3. So level 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm going to also take a bunch of these tiles, and like I did for everything else, we're going to slot these tiles into the board. There are these level A, B, and C tiles. So I'm going to put this all around the board too, and then the remainder, we're going to slot into this negative space in the middle. I was debating whether or not to use this, but since I have the panda to the right, I think I'm going to use one of the player aids just to show people like this game does come with a player aid. And we're going to stick that on the left side. I'll show you at the very end what that looks like. Each person has a component area where these aren't used just yet. So we're going to stack everyone up with some stuff like some tiles. So lastly, there are these tiles that you're going to put in depending on the player count that you have. So whichever one that you're not using goes back into your storage. We're going to do that. So 1 to 3 players goes back in storage. And the 6-player game, since we have 6 boards out, is going to be locked into the player board just like that. And this right here is the final setup, not the final shot, but the final setup. Ta-da! So we have everything laid out. It's pretty, for this particular game, it is pretty symmetrical, and I love how it turned out. We have this center board unifying everything, all the resources matching. We have all the, like a ton of negative space filled out, a ton of Luna's hair that I keep picking out and throwing out, so I'd have to Photoshop it out later. And I think this right here is pretty darn satisfying. So this right here will be the final shot for the commercial. And yeah, that's I kind of like how the panda's on the right side and then this player board on the left, just to give a little bit more height and depth to where everyone's looking. Because if you're looking like this, immediately my eyes draws towards the middle, and then I kind of just scatter and look around everywhere else, which is perfect because then we make a little loop and look back over here by the end. So we're going to keep some negative space up top so we have some room for a logo or a call to action or something like, oh, you know, available now on Kickstarter or back now on Kickstarter or whatever. That right there, Wolfpack, is how we set up one shot. This is the ending shot. And honestly, this is about how much time it takes to do like a ton of the shots in the commercial in general. So like when you see something out for like 0.6 seconds, realize that it probably took me the same amount of time to do this ending shot over here. To get all the lights nailed down, the right camera, right lens, and then also the right setup and everything. What I also do, and it is a terrible habit, but I'll film something and then I'll bring it in post and I look at it and I was like, oh, okay, is the color grade good? Is the transition gonna make sense from here to here? Is the timing gonna work? Is the movement gonna work? And then I go back and then film again if I'm not happy with it, which is 90% of the time. And then I go back and edit. It's just this repeated cycle as we're filming commercial. But I usually will do the last shot towards the end, which is funny because this is like my favorite shot, so that way I have something to look forward to when filming and editing and everything. So with that said, thank you all so much for joining me and keep me company on this final shot setup that I almost always do on every single game that I cover, regardless of what set I'm in, whether it's in studio or on set somewhere. So hope you all enjoyed it, and if you made it to the very end, go to comment cardboard for my lame dad joke that I made earlier. It makes sense, all right? It makes sense. Cards on board, cardboard, what? Crazy. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me, and I'll see you all tomorrow.